I'm sure each one of you has this chart. 2 साल ये SM, 2 साल ये फिर ZM, 42 में CEO, 45 में golf, 49 में. उस चार्ट में ये नहीं रियलाइज कर रहे कि वो तो डेजिग्नेशन है, उस डेजिग्नेशन में एक डिलीवरेबल है. वो डिलीवरेबल से आएगा, वो डिलीवरेबल एक्सपीरियंस से आएगा, राइट?
What does a day in the life of the Reckitt sales director look like?
1st to 25th or 25th to 31st. You start talking work-life balance on in the first 5 years, you will fall flat on your face.
As a young 25-year-old, would really be impacting the lives of so many people, and you know, their livelihood, their families. So, I mean, that's incredible.
My name is Sarthak. I am from IRL Jamshedpur. I did my MBA in HR from there. The session for today is called Inside Reckitt's Leadership. And since we're talking about leadership, we have one of Reckitt's most sensational leaders with us, Mr. Anurag Sharma, who is the sales director for Reckitt India. Let's give him a huge round of applause and let's get the show started. So Anurag, before we begin, I mean, let's take it from the top. How did a commerce graduate decide that he wanted to build a career in sales?
There's a lot of internet you guys have today, so you have a lot more knowledge than I would have had at that age, and I'm sure there are more talented people. But at that point of time, whatever you read in whatever magazines, Business Today and Business World that time, every CEO at some point had done sales. So my ambition was to become a CEO, and I knew that it can't happen without doing the sales route. So that's why.
Understood. And you know, moving on from your undergraduation, so how was the Bschool journey like for you? I mean, you chose marketing as your specialization. So my first question is that. And secondly, as someone, because these guys have just started in their careers, so as someone who's a fresher, how do you gain that clarity about the specialization that you want to take?
I was very clear I wanted to do sales and marketing. I wanted to be the CEO, and I had read that not a very lot of finance people become CEOs. So that was the first mandate I had at that time. I'm sure it's different now. So one of the things what I wanted to be the CEO, so finance is obviously a no. Then my passion towards marketing and sales was slightly more, and I really enjoyed doing stuff which was creative and challenging. So I thought in that sphere it's better to take the marketing aspects, and that's why sales and marketing. Journey in the Bschool was tough because you are constantly navigating, right? And you are going through all sorts of challenges. I'm sure by now you'll have all sorts of information and myths around it कि बहुत घिसना पड़ेगा, ये होगा, वो कंपनी कट थ्रोट होती है, GD में तो इसको निकाल देते हैं. I'm sure each campus has its own. So navigating around that is a challenge, and I'm sure you will evolve. But that's something which I went through.
Great. And after you, you know, passed out from the Bschool, how was the management trainee period like?
So this is the first year batch, right? Why do you want them to know all the truth?
Because soon they'll be facing all those challenges, and a challenge is always better when you are prepared for it. So
till now, every successive journey or role after MBA, I've thought that is it. इसके बाद fight नहीं होगी, right? Okay, so it started with Bschool, फिर सोचा नौकरी में घुसे तो देखा कि अब भाई 10-15 एम्प्टी हैं, तो इनमें से क्रैक करना है. फिर वो पहला असाइनमेंट क्रैक करना है, अब नेक्स्ट असाइनमेंट, एंड देन यू आर इन दिस होल जर्नी, राइट? एंड honestly I fell flat on my face in my empty stint, because whatever is going to be taught here, which is very relevant, honestly it requires a lot of application which is not really taught on the go. And then you fall flat on your face realizing कि अरे ये तो कोटलर ने नहीं बोला था. Right? And then you start learning, and that's something which is the tough part and a good part.
Understood. And you know, moving on, then talking about the career you made in sales. So generally it's seen that sales is not always the most sought after role or function, and There are a lot of thoughts, lot of myths around it कि MBA से निकलोगे then बहुत ज़्यादा धूप में घूमना पड़ेगा and बहुत rigor होता है, बहुत aggressive होता है. So all those myths exist and it's not the most sought after role. But it's ironic that when you are considering someone for a high leadership position, everything kind of boils down to the fact whether the person has done a sales role or experienced sales in their life. So what are your thoughts about this?
You can't be a CEO without, I mean, that's what I believe, and I've worked with people. You can't be a CEO without sales experience, whatever industry you pick up, unless you are in some strategy consulting, which has got a different base. In fact, maybe you need some sales experience because you're selling projects. Fundamentally, why I have chosen sales is I love the excitement, I love the pressure, I love the adrenaline, I love the whole experience around it. There are different people with different attributes, so it's not right to say that everybody will do it or will not do it because it's person's choice. But if you want your career to flourish in whatever sector you decide to take it to, if you have the option of doing sales, do it for 5 years because it tests you in a lot of core fundamental values you will imbibe in yourself in future. For example, all of you as you grow higher will handle teams. Now in sales, that's the first thing that's taught to you, how to handle a team. That doesn't happen if you don't do sales because you're not handling a team. In sales, you handle customers, so that really teaches you stakeholder management. In sales, you handle negotiations, so that's what is you. So all these attributes are things you will do in your career throughout. The earlier you experience it, the earlier you know yourself with these attributes, the better it is. The more you delay it, the more you are delaying your own learning curve.
Do you think that you can become a good marketer before becoming a good salesperson?
No. So, okay, let me redraft it. Let me change the format. How many of you want to do marketing? Fantastic. How many of you actually want to get into FMCG? Fantastic. The entire room wants to get into FMCG. And how much time should you spend in sales before you become a brand manager?
4 to 5 years.
Fantastic. So in 4 to 5 years, you will do what companies have not done for 100 years. You will? No, I am not trying to put it on. I understand. I was in the same school of thought. Would you be able to crack? No. Why?
The time crunch and the knowledge about.
Perfect. So I'll tell you what genuinely happens and where some of you will struggle. You will have I'm sure each one of you has this chart. 2 साल ये SM, 2 साल ये फिर ZM, 42 में CEO, 45 में golf, 49 में. I'm sure. I mean, and I'm sure some of you will, most of you will crack it. But उस चार्ट में ये नहीं रियलाइज कर रहे कि वो तो डेजिग्नेशन है, उस डेजिग्नेशन में एक डिलीवरेबल है. वो डिलीवरेबल से आएगा, वो डिलीवरेबल एक्सपीरियंस से आएगा, राइट? Well, let's assume that you want to become a brand manager by 5 years, right? You are expecting that you'll crack India's problem or India's category challenge without even working in 3 different geographies and knowing India consumer, right? And then some of you, for example, I'll tell you, if I plot all India Dettol market share, South is lower than rest of the country, okay? Now imagine I make a brand manager who's not worked in the South. What happens? Will you be able to solve it? No, but you want to become brand manager in 5 years. So how will you succeed? You will fail. So if you want a shortcut, then it's a shortcut. Then the company will also be a shortcut. But if you want to do it right, each organization and any organization, whatever you pick up, has a plan, and there's a reason they have a plan. Because they believe no company wants to let go for good talent, right? But they believe there's a plan so that people get enough experience, exposure. They test people in different environments before they start judging people. Now, when you start putting those expectations beforehand, you are cut-shorting your journey. You are also making sure your learning is going down. And then you land up in a role by mistake, not being able to deliver, company having a mismatch, you having a mismatch, and you struggling. Don't make that mistake. Trust the organization. LinkedIn is a fantastic tool, but LinkedIn is not life. So updating status on LinkedIn, वो e-com में चला गया, मेरा बैचमेट तो सर ब्रांड मैनेजर बन गया है. बन गया होगा यार, उसकी जर्नी अलग है, आपकी जर्नी अलग है. I mean, and I'll give you this. I've now been 19 years. Every time I've competed with somebody, 5 years down the line, those two people, me and that guy, are not in the race anymore. The people I was competing in 2006 with, some of them have changed sectors, some of them have opened businesses, some of them have become professors, one of them is doing something fabulous as a startup. Then I had to change the set कि अब किससे compete करूँ. तो एक ऊपर का बैच ले लिया भाई, चलो अब मैं 2005 हूँ तो अब मैं 8 से कम्पीट करूँगा. तो 8 बैच से कम्पीट करना चालू किया. कुछ लोग उसमें से आगे बढ़ गए, कुछ पीछे चले गए. जो मुझसे पीछे थे वो मुझसे आगे हो गए. फिर पूरा रीसेट हो गया, अरे ये आगे कैसे आ गया. फिर रियलाइज किया कि क्या चल रहा है, मैं इससे बेंचमार्क करूँगा तो मैं तो फंस ही जाऊँगा. एंड देन आफ्टर 15 years you start realizing, no, I have a different journey. I need to be good at what I'm doing rather than trying to compete on LinkedIn and updating posts congratulating each other कि मैं ये बन गया वो बन गया. It will not.
Anurag, as you mentioned, you've had about 2 decades of experience in sales. So as you moved into various leadership roles, what were the different skills or competencies that you thought were the most important to develop?
Resilience. Okay, so all of you will have a career spanning 30-35 years from here at least before you decide to take the golf break. Only 50 to 60% times you'll succeed. It's a hard fact. You will succeed only 50 to 60% times, and that's a very good hit ratio. If you are not able to stand up back on your feet, you will struggle. If you are not ready to take failure, you will struggle more. If you keep your ego in your hand, you will fall flat on your face. People will make sure your ego goes down. It's a reality. No matter what you do. You do a startup, you do FMCG, you do banking, you do consulting, you do Apple. This is the reality. The earlier you read it, the better it is. So first is resilience. 2 is patience. If every time I do something and I get a reward immediately, world would have been very different. Right? It will not work that way. So you'll need to have some patience of sort to learn over a period of time that things are going to be difficult, things are going to take time, and life is going to be slow. And it's not because life is slow, it's because things take time to happen. Third is, you need to certainly know that as an individual and manager, what do I want to be? If you are not sure about that, you need to make sure you have more experiences to start knowing you better, because there will be a lot of mismatch. Some of you wanting to be the CEO and realizing that some qualities that the CEOs have, I don't have. Now, if you come to know that, if those qualities are not in you, you will need to make sure those qualities are imbibed or learnt. But if you want to be the CEO and not take those qualities in, for example, patience or resilience, then you're not there on the path. In 2019, I joined Reckitt. That was after 14 years. 1.5 years I did with Reckitt, and in that there was a year of COVID and life was different. And then one fine day I got a call that you need to move as country head for Sri Lanka. Okay, and country head is a very different role than the sales head role. Country head role is like a general manager role, right? And I moved into Sri Lanka in 2021 September. In February, March, the crisis in Sri Lanka happened. I don't know how many of you are aware of it. The Sri Lanka defaulted the currency valuation, whatever. All my sales experience went out of the window. All. Now what sales will I do where there is no food, water, petrol? क्या करूँ? हवा बेचूँ? नहीं हो सकता. What is required? Now what was required was resourcefulness. What kind of resourcefulness? I needed to negotiate with the government why we should be allowed to get diesel and petrol to make sure Sri Lanka has Dettol available in every shop. I need to negotiate with government on why some allocation of electricity needs to be given to the plants Reckitt works, so that production needs to happen. I need to make sure my people are safe. I need to make sure that there was a power cut of 18 hours a day for almost 3 months. That how do I make sure my people and their families are safe, getting all that is required, while having a constraint in all the limitations I have, and making sure the organization delivers what it has. So it required me to go and meet the central bank governor of Sri Lanka to convince him that I need to pay salaries, so I need money. So what Sri Lanka had done was frozen bank accounts of everybody and said that you can't withdraw or send money up and down. Now I have people who are working for Reckitt in Sri Lanka and you can't give them salaries. So how do you get that? So you need to negotiate with the bank, you need to negotiate with... Now all this was an experience I had never thought about, but came in because in 14, 15 years, all you were doing was negotiating, crisis management, patience, resilience. And that helps. And that exposure was the biggest eye-opener of my life, saying that, and that was a mini CEO role. That had I not gone through the last 14 years grill of whatever I have done, so that's something which I would certainly add.
And do these tough challenges still show up?
Every day. Every day. Every day is a challenge. Every day is a challenge. I'm sure all of you pick up the newspaper. There's this whole buzz about rural economy not firing. So I should tell the global CEO, bhai number nahi honge, rural economy mein number nahi aa raha. It's okay. He'll say, okay, mat karo bhai. And chhod do naukri. Doesn't. You have to figure out, and that's what it's all about. And India is growing. You need to keep evolving. This is young talent. I have challenges on young talent. People have different expectations. People have different knowledge, and I need to deal with talent differently. I need to deal with people differently, and that challenge comes in every day. Every day there's a new kind of challenge, and you need to keep adapting, and that's fun.
So Anurag, what does a day in the life of the Reckitt sales director look like?
1st to 25th or 25th to 31st? I generally break up my day in two parts. The first half of my day is operations. So I'm in office by, let's say, 9:30, 10. 10 to 1, I generally finish any updates on operations. What's going on? How are we doing? What are we doing? How's numbers coming on? Day-to-day operations. The second half of the day is all about strategy. How do we grow? What are the new opportunities? Where do we end up expanding? Where does distribution take us? What is the new technology? Broadly. 25th to 31st is a lot of challenges and stuff, but that's a different magnitude altogether, but that's more operational. That's broadly how it is.
Before we move on, basis the detailed chat that we've had with Anurag, I would like to invite any questions if there are.
Hi, so my name is Sneha and it's been a great experience to hear you so far. So you'd mentioned that you think that sales is a necessity back when you were setting the goal for yourself to be a CEO. Do you think that still sustains?
Without sales, you can't be a CEO. That's very clear. Unless, I mean, there will be some sectors, maybe I don't know about it. But the qualities that you require in a CEO largely still requires a lot of sales experience, and then fundamentally it is. So I'll give you some data points that I can give you. If you pick up the large part of Flipkart or Amazon management today, okay, large, 50-60%. It is all FMCG sales. But they are not doing frontline sales. Why? If you pick up the CEO of Airtel, FMCG. I have a friend who's a CEO of a large automation company, and he's done FMCG sales. Why in India is FMCG or sales more important is also because India is growing. A lot of money is coming in, multinationals want to invest. They are investing in the country for growth opportunity, and they fundamentally want people who understand the growth opportunity, and that can only happen if you've done sales, and if you've done sales and grassroots level. People don't want now people who know sales in Bombay and Delhi. People want now people who know how sales happens in Lucknow, in Patna, in Darbhanga, is because that's where the next level of India is. A lot of large India would start getting saturated at some point, and a lot of you in future are going to be employed with a lot of great multinationals only because they believe you understand how things happen in the larger part of the country, and that's what is required.
My name is Kapil. While you mentioned all the rigor that a sales job brings in a person's lives, how does one balance their work and their life with such a rigorous job in their mind?
पहले तो वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस टर्म मेरी लाइफ में कुछ 2016-17 में आया, ठीक है? उसके पहले मुझे पता ही नहीं था कि वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस होता क्या है. Mindset, it's a mindset. It's a mindset. Okay, I'm going to speak a lot of things which I'm sure all of you will not like. Okay, and don't mind it. It's my reality. It's my truth. You guys are very intelligent and going to do well, but that's a choice you will make, and there's some choices I made. don't bullshit about all these things for the first 5 years. You start talking work-life balance on in the first 5 years, you will fall flat on your face. You are a very privileged lot. You've studied really hard to reach here, right? Now imagine how, okay, let me throw it. How many of you want to become sales directors? Let's 5, 6 of them. Fantastic. Now here is 2 people, right? Here is Sarthak from MDI Gurgaon, who's fabulously intelligent for one of you and amazingly intelligent at the jobs he does. And here is me from a tier 2 town, no Bschool experience, okay? This race is only going to give you the edge of MDI for 2 years. The day one of you was, who wants to be a sales director? The day Sarthak tells you, sir 5:30 बजे जा रहा हूँ, पिक्चर जा रहा हूँ और मैं बोलूँगा सर 8:30 बजे मिल जाएगा रात को, आप क्या करोगे? That choice will start coming in. तो ये वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस ये सब साइड में रखो यार, नौकरी चाहिए. Unless all of you have ideas in your pocket worth 100 crores which can get you lifetime savings, it is a different story. Please do not give this crap. तो ये वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस पहले 4-5 साल साइड में रखो, अपने आप आएगा, अच्छे से आएगा. जितनी ज़्यादा मेहनत शुरू में कर लोगे उतना जल्दी बेटर आएगा. जितना इसको जेब में रख के घूमोगे पहले 2-3 साल उतना ये बर्बाद करेगा. Organizations value people who work hard. Every organization does it. You will do it when you become a boss. No matter how savvy and business today front page cover you want to be, ultimately you will be measured in your life with what you deliver. You will deliver with hard work. You will not deliver with work-life balance. There are days I am in office by 9:30. There are days I leave at 6:30. There are days I leave at 9. There are months where I work on every Saturday. There are 3 months period where I don't work on any Saturday. But I don't make a rule. Why? Because I am here to succeed, trying to succeed, working hard to succeed, and I am willing to put everything on the line to do well. A lot of the set that I have around, I appreciate that set to have similar values. And I speak for a lot of people I work with and in industry. And they will hold the same value. You will hold the same value 5 years down the line.
What has been a challenge, it could be in sales or in the industry, that has stood the test of time and is still a predominant challenge back when you started and today? And the second part is, what has been a challenge that we are seeing today that you could not even imagine or think of 2 decades ago?
No FMCG so far has been able to crack perfect range from wholesale channel. 1.2 crore outlets sell FMCG, 80 lakh sell personal care. Nobody's been able to crack the overlap of 4+ products in 80 lakh outlets, which means किसी के भी 4 अच्छे product 80 lakh outlet नहीं पहुंच रहे. That's the challenge I face. That's what is keeping me awake at nights. That's the fun of cracking a state. That's the fun of cracking passive distribution. That's the fun of strategy. That's the fun of AI. That's the fun of pressure. That's the kick. And it's been 20 years we've been able to do it, not been able to do it. No FMCGs have been able to do it. This is despite 5 new channels coming in. Cash and carry पिछले 10-15 साल में आया है. Flipkart, Amazon पिछले 10-15 साल में आए हैं. Blinkit पिछले 5 साल में आया है. B2B, Amazon, Flipkart, उड़ान आके बंद होके चले गए हैं. And nobody's been able to crack. That's when people start coming in saying कि वो ही boring काम है. वो boring काम नहीं है. वो तुमको टेस्ट कर रहा है, तुम्हारी स्ट्रैटेजी टेस्ट कर रहा है, तुम्हारी बैंडविड्थ टेस्ट कर रहा है, प्रेशर टेस्ट कर रहा है. And if you're not willing to do it, then it's a different ball game altogether.
Now, before we move on, we have another leader from Reckitt, Miss Nalini Malik, who is an alum from MDI Gurgaon, and now she heads talent acquisition for South Asia. So I would like to invite her on stage and take this conversation ahead. So, Nalini, as you know, you're an alum of MDI Gurgaon. So, how was the Bschool journey like for you?
Cracking these competitions and getting into the big Bschool was the aim for me. And after that, I thought, okay, possibly I'm going to chill and you know, relax and have like a good time in my academic years, because I think college is a very interesting time, right? You won't get it. I think now that I'm 10 years away from campus, I think this environment is what you will miss the most. So definitely make the most of it. But at the same time, when I was in Bschool, I think for me, practical learning was something that I really looked at. And I think Anurag also mentioned that sometimes the academic rigor can never really teach you the practicalities that you face in jobs, in real life world. Personally, I chose placement committee as well. I think for me that was the ASM stint of FMCG. Okay, so it really prepared me for the life ahead. I think it gave me exposure from a personality standpoint. I still remember the summer internship, that I did. To this day, I'm still using some of the frameworks I learned, and that was my first stepping stone into FMCG actually. I think those were really solid learning experiences.
Post your MBA from MDI, how did career look like for you? I mean, you also did a business partnering role with the sales function, and we are discussing sales today. So how was career and how was that role for you?
Sure. So I had started my career where I did a role in employee relations. What used to baffle me was that how does the company making money? Okay, and I used to feel really disconnected at that point of time when I was completely 2.5 years working in the ER job, and that curiosity is what wanted me to be closer to say a sales function, and that's when I wanted to become say a sales HRBP, because in the HR space that's the role that could get me closest to the sales function. So at Asian Paints at that point in time, all roles for the sales HR business partnering were like filled very recently. I knew nothing would come up, and this role in Reckitt came up, and I was in Bombay at that point of time, and I was also happy. Okay, the role that has come up for Reckitt was also based in Bombay, and it was to manage the west and the south regions. So that's when I decided to apply for that opportunity, and I think during our time, during those years 2014 or so, Reckitt was the big thing on campus, and everybody really wanted to be there. In fact, while we are a company known more for Dettol, on MDI we were known for being the Durex company. so that's how we were positioned. It was really, really aspirational, and I thought, yes, why not? Let me go and apply for this job.
You've had stellar careers with Reckitt. What do you fathom Reckitt culture is? When and why shall someone aspire to join Reckitt?
Self-driven entrepreneurial passion is the only thing. The culture just promotes it heavily. You want to do well, do well. You want to go abroad, go abroad. You want to do international project, do it. But you need to have the hunger for it and driven. And the organization backs an employee to the last mile, and that's something which is fabulous about it.
I think completely agree. I've been with the organization for 7 years now, and I think the dynamic element of the organization is what keeps me going on a day-to-day basis. I think there's always something new to do. There is no dull day in Reckitt. Very early in your career, very large roles and very good exposure. You, as a young 25-year-old, would really be impacting the lives of so many people, and their livelihood, their families. So, I mean, that's incredible.
What would be the advice that you would want to leave them with? What would be your 2 cents for them?
Right now, you guys are like just in a very, very early stage in your career. So you're figuring out, now that you're in Bschool, this is the time you decide which sector, what exposure you get, and wherever you get, just put in your best. Give your 100, 200, 300%, get your hands dirty, learn as much as possible. That is what will take you forward, because everything is an experience. The Bschool learning is an experience of itself. Summer internship will be its own experience that will count, that you will take away for yourself. And one of the most, the thing that really, really stays with you. And then of course, any other events and things you decide to be a part of, it'll help you shape your decisions on how you want to steer your career and play to your strengths.
All the people you're trying to compete with are not people you're going to ever meet in your life. I mean, some of you might end up being friends. More than half of you won't even be on the same WhatsApp group. I mean, trust me, हमारे बैच के कुछ 4 बन गए हैं, एक बैच का सबसेट भी बन गया है, फिर मार्केटिंग ने अलग बना लिया, उसमें भी कुछ लोगों ने बोल दिया कि ये ठीक नहीं बनते, जमती नहीं हमारी इनसे, so it will not happen. So, and make sure you There'll be a lot of cutthroat things also which will start coming into 6 months time. ये notes नहीं share करेगा, वो उसको ही नहीं बताएगा. इसको पता था वो कंपनी कैंपस पे आ रही है, उसको पता था क्या वो सवाल पूछने वाले हैं, उसने बाकियों को नहीं बताया कि ये they are looking for this. All that will happen. Enjoy it. You will all land up in great jobs. Trust me. As which is what I say, launch pad मिल जाएगा, नौकरी वोकरी मिल जाएगी. It is what you do after that is going to start mattering. Right? So enjoy, have a blast, have good memories, be serious.
Perfect. This has been great. Thanks a lot, Anurag. Thanks a lot, Nalini, for agreeing to do this. I'm sure that everyone, all the students learned a lot. I for sure did. And yeah, this was great. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone. Thank you.